Wolf of Fantasy Sports back with the DFS Wolfpack for NFL Week 6. Looking back on a recap. If you go to dfswolfpack.com, this is my website. You can check out my blog. Go to menu, go to blog. Shout out to LCM 4991. Leo Dunn played the Super Booster on DraftKings. $27 entry fee. NFL 100K. Top 100 win $1,000. 93rd place. Squeaked in there with a 183.24. The write-ups. If you're looking to get access to my write-ups, hit me up direct on Twitter, Instagram at DFS Wolfpack. Message me. We'll go from there. $25 a month. $10 per week for the write-ups. Now that covers the main slate and DFS coaching for whatever time period that you pay for. So hit me up direct, dfswolfpack.com. You get access to my player pool, write-ups for each slate, and any advice, any contact, anytime with me, Wolf of Fantasy Sports. I'll give you any tips, any advice that I have. Any information, I'll pass that along to you. Basically, you'll get all my research throughout the week, and I put in about 30 hours each week in DFS research. Looking at quarterback position, 2 Millie Makers this week, real quick, 2 Millie Makers this week. You got the $10 Millie Maker, and you got a $3,000 entry fee into the Millie Maker. 1,111 entries. Million to first. You're going to see a lot of your sharks in here if you go to entrance list. You're going to see a lot of big names. Peter Gibbons. Hoop. Mr. Good Seats. A few others in there. I'm sure to fill up with all the sharps. That's a crazy ass contest. I don't got the money for that. I'm not putting that type of money out there. If I really liked my lineup like week 4, I might possibly would have thought about it. But I'll be in the $10 Millie Maker. I'll probably have 10 of them in there this week. Look at that quarterback position. Matt Ryan versus Tampa Bay. Gotta love that. They get beat up by the tight end position, so Hooper's in play again. And you could probably look to Kelvin Ridley, Sanu, or take a shot right here. This is it. Julio Jones in the end zone. We'll see. Matt Ryan a little banged up. Maybe that'll keep some buyers off of Matt Ryan. But you got to pay all the way up for $6,800. Look at all the quarterbacks versus Tampa Bay in the last 4 weeks. They were on a bye last week. And look to see what they've done. And Matt Ryan's definitely in play. Kirk Cousins versus Arizona in play. 6,700. Put up 18 DraftKings points last week. He's at home. Great matchup. Should dominate. Should put up a big score. Big Ben on the road versus Cincinnati. This is a rivalry game right here. Ben on the road. You know, he threw a pick in the end zone last week. Cost me some points. Didn't really like that all that much. Now he's on the road. Tough matchup. I think he's okay. I just much rather pay up for Cousins or Matt Ryan in that situation. Watson at home versus Buffalo. He's okay. He's consistently averaging over 20 DraftKings points per game besides week 1. And that was just shaking off the rust coming back from injury. I think he's definitely viable here at home versus Buffalo. Andy Dalton versus Pittsburgh. He kind of underperforms. If you look at the stats, home road splits. At home, he throws more picks. I think he's still viable at 6,300 here versus Pittsburgh. He lost his tight end, Eifert, for the year. He's got 2 backups. He's got weapons. Mixon's back. I think Dalton's in play. Andrew Luck, he's been putting up some good fantasy numbers as of late versus the Jets. I think he's okay on the road. At this price, I probably fade him this week. Until further notice, I'll give more of an update when I dig into the stats. Cam Newton, 6,100. always in play, has touchdown, rushing upside, has some weapons. McCaffrey versus Washington, don't mind him here at 61. Jared Goff. You got Cooks, you got Cooper Kupp with concussions. Got to look into that and see who's going to play during the week. He might lose Kupp as of today. Doesn't look like Kupp's going to play. We shall see. So, Jared Goff, love the matchup. You saw what Darnold was able to do, and Robbie Anderson breaking free on those 2 touchdowns, having a big day. Jared Goff, definitely in play. Phillip Rivers on the road versus Cleveland. This should be a close shootout game. Cleveland's been in a bunch of dogfights as of late. 2 overtime games. They tied Pittsburgh 5,900. I think Rivers is in play. This could be a nice little shootout here. Jameis Winston, 5,800. Great matchup versus Atlanta. Coming off a bye week, should be ready to go. He's got a lot to prove this year. Didn't really do too good his first start back, if you see here, but Bears defense. So, Atlanta defense, he's on the road, he's indoors. Should be a good spot, should garner some ownership here. He'll definitely be in my player pool, and I'll have some exposure to him. Russell Wilson versus Oakland. They've been running the ball a lot as of late in Seattle with Carson and Mike Davis. So, Russell Wilson, this should be somewhat of a shootout in Oakland, you would think. So, at 5,700, I think he's viable for 20 DraftKings points with the upside to hit 30 if he gets the ball in the air. Baldwin was somewhat of a letdown, but he's got a connection this year going with Lockett. Seems to be pretty strong. So, Russell Wilson's in play. Blake Bortles versus Dallas on the road. No Fournette. I think he's viable. Threw 4 interceptions last week and still put up 28. The weather got me off him, which was a huge mistake on my part. I only had him in one lineup. And that kind of led to me not putting up a big score last week. I didn't break the 200 mark last week and barely broke even. Ended up losing a little bit of money last week, messing around, and ended up going out with the family and whatnot. So sacrificed my lineups on Sunday to go out, and kind of bit me in the ass. I should have put that time in all the way up until lock and really focused and locked in like I did in the first 4 weeks. So I take that on the chin. Blake Bortles, man, you would have came in handy last week if I would have had you had him at 50% exposure in all my lineups, and then I just started tweaking everything before I left the house at noon Eastern time. Baker Mayfield in play versus Chargers. We haven't even seen his upside yet. 22, 16, 9. I think he goes off. Only 1 touchdown in his last time out and put up 22 DraftKings points, 342 yards. Imagine if he gets 2 or 3, he's going to put up a big score. This could be it versus the Chargers. Keenum, I'm off of him until further notice. Alex Smith, especially against the Rams. Alex Smith, I'm off of him completely. Never was ever on him. Last week, what was it? Man, he just does not look good. Alex Smith is such a letdown. I don't want no part of that, especially versus Carolina. I'm off of Mariota versus Baltimore. Darnold versus Indy. I don't mind it at 53, but I'll most likely won't have that much exposure. I'm off Trubisky at 5,300. Flacco versus Tennessee. I'm off of him. Derek Carr, 5,100. I like this play a lot. I think he's viable. Could give you 20 plus DraftKings points. And looking down here, Josh Allen versus Houston. That might be a GPP tournament flyer. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Might have him in one lineup. Pair him up with McCoy and take a shot on Zay Jones or somebody. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Maybe just run Josh Allen and McCoy, or Josh Allen naked, and see if he can have a performance like he did versus Minnesota and give me 20 plus at that price there. Looking at the running back position, Gurley's definitely play. You got to pay up 10,000. That's a hefty price tag, but Mr. Consistent, 33, no less than 25 DraftKings points in the first 5 games. Versus Denver, definitely in play. If those 2 receivers end up being out in Cooks and Kupp, he should put up a big score. Looking at McCaffrey, 8,300 in play here. Melvin Gordon, much rather play him at 8,200. Eckler, man, that kid's pretty good. If Gordon ever goes down, jump all over Eckler. Looking at Connor in this matchup versus Cincinnati, I don't mind him, but 7,700 I'll pay up. And last week he was just in a lock spot versus Atlanta. That's been a trend. Pass catching backs versus Atlanta, and he didn't even really get that many targets last week. and he still put up a big score. I believe he only got 4 targets, and he did it on the ground. 21 attempts, 37 DraftKings points, killed it. Looking at Mixon, he's viable here at 7,500. Zeke versus Jacksonville, I'll fade him at 7,000. The price is right, but I don't like the matchup. Howard, I'm off of him. It's tough to pick a running back in Chicago. I never get him right, and I just tend to fade it. It's a good matchup versus Miami. I'll think about it more throughout the week and dig into the stats and see if I want to run them in few GPPs. TJ Yeldon, Grant's out, should be in play here, should be viable. Had a great game last week. Didn't even see all that many touches. Had 10 attempts on the ground, but saw 10 targets. That's what we like to see out of our running back. No Fournette, no Grant. Yeldon's a great play. Versus Dallas, no Sean Lee. Should be a good matchup. I'm not touching any of the running backs in Atlanta until further notice. You got Freeman, Coleman. I don't want no part of it. 10 attempts, I believe, for Freeman last week. Or 8 attempts. 2 targets. Not what I'm looking for out of my running back at that price. Chris Thompson suffered an injury. I won't be playing him until further notice. 6,100. David Johnson's 5,900. Tough matchup versus Minnesota. I'm off of that. LaShawn McCoy's risky. I wish his price was down. I'd give him a shot. 5,500. Keep him in the back of my mind. Maybe I'll throw him out there in one GPP. Lynch, he's okay. Play 5,300. Himes, 5,100. He's okay. Corral's been killing it every other game. He's been putting up a big one. 25, 5, 19, 1, 33. If he gets the touches, he could have a decent game here. I'm sure he'll garner some ownership after last week's performance. At home versus Indy, he's in play. Hyde's okay here versus the Chargers. Javorius Allen, 4,800. I'm off of that. If Miller is the starter and he's a full go, maybe I run him in a few lineups. Alfred Blue got a bunch of targets. We're going to look at that. Lewis is okay. Cohen is okay, but can you trust the attempts? Can you trust the targets? That's the question there. Drake had a big game last week. I'm off of him. Decent price, but I'm off of him. Powell, 20 attempts. No targets. Kind of crazy. Who would have thought? Powell, he's a risky play. Who knows what they're doing back there. Carson's in play, and Mike Davis is okay. Alfred Blue saw a lot of targets last week, which was intriguing. 8 targets, 20 attempts. If I can get that out of Lamar Miller, I want to play him this week at 4,700. Most definitely. Carson's in play. Blue, you got to keep a watch on that. Eckler, pretty cheap at 4,200. And the player that I might take a shot on is Ronald Jones, the second here at 3,900. Pass catching back, coming off a bye week. He rushed 10 times for 29 yards, 2 targets. If they get this kid involved, I think he could be a big play, big upside. Versus Atlanta, I'm looking for a pass catching back versus Atlanta. He could be it at 3,900. I'm going to take a shot on him in GPPs, most definitely. And that's it. And then Barber, let's see what the coaches say. Let's see what the beat writers say and make your decision on which back you want to take from Tampa. Looking at wide receivers, real quick. Antonio Brown definitely in play. Thielen, averaging 100 yards per game throughout the season, in play. Prices up on him. Mike Evans in play here versus Atlanta. AJ Green usually shows out versus Pittsburgh at home. Been having a pretty good season. Julio Jones, this could be his... Every week I say this, he could blow up. This is one hell of a matchup for him. He could have a good game here and definitely score a touchdown or two if Matty Ice is on his game. Looking at D-Hop versus Buffalo, you should see Tre'Davious White. I'll probably fade him this week and take a shot on the other wide receivers from that team. Diggs is in play here versus Arizona. Keenan Allen in play. Schuster definitely in play at 7,300. Should bounce back. Cooks might play. Had a concussion, left the game. Robert Woods, if Cooks or Kupp is out of the game, missing the game, or both of them are missing the game, Woods should be in play. Most definitely. He'll be high on my list. Looking at Fuller, he's all right at that price, 6,800 versus Buffalo. Much rather play the wide receiver 3 from that team, though, I think, with the price and the targets that he's been seeing as of late. Sanders is off my radar this week. He's a decent play at 6,700, but I'm not at that price. I'm paying up to Woods. Jarvis Landry's okay here at 6,600. Keep an eye on Kupp throughout the week. Keep an eye on Hilton throughout the week. Ridley's most definitely in play here at 6,300. The price is up on him, Great matchup. You saw what Taylor Gabriel was able to do against this team. Looking at Tyler Boyd, definitely in play at 6,000 versus Pitt. Deshaun Jackson. I love this tier right here, 6,300 to 5,900. These three players are definitely in play. Ridley, Boyd, and Jackson. And pair Jackson up with Winston. Or just playing by himself. He's having a big season. Could definitely go off here. These other wide receivers I don't care for that much. And Nunwa, he's kind of like the tight end of Darnold, 5,600. He's in play. John Brown's in play at 5,500. I like Baldwin for a bounce back against Oakland. Cooper, decent play versus Seattle. I don't mind that. And Lockett, I think these guys are all in play. Brown, Baldwin, Cooper, Lockett. I'll dig into the stats and figure out which guys I like more throughout the week. Definitely guys I'll have in my player pool. Westbrook, I don't mind him at 5,000. Not somebody I'm high on this week. Funchess is okay. Jordy Nelson's okay. Sanu's definitely in play at 4,800. Price is up on him. Got to pay for him. Cole, don't mind him. Don't like him all that much. Stills, I'm off of him this week. I'm off of Crabtree. I'm off of Crowder. Let's see what I like down here. Kiki Kute, I think he's in play 4,600 versus Buffalo. You're seeing the targets in the last two games. And if you want to pay down here, I like Chris Godwin, 4,400. This game turns into a shootout. He could have a big game here, 4,400. Mike Williams, I can't trust the targets right now. Christian Kirk, price is up. Tough matchup. I'm off of that. Callaway, 4,000. He'll get some looks. Josh Reynolds, if Kupp or Cook misses. I think those guys are players you want to take a look at. And then looking down here in the bargain bin, I mean, it's really nobody I want to take a chance on. You got Terrell Pryor. Maybe he could go off. That's pretty much it. That's all I'm seeing down here. Tight end position, Ebron, 5,400. That's crazy versus the Jets. I won't pay up for him. No way. I'm off of Reed. I don't like the targets. And I'm not seeing what I like there. 2 targets. I mean, at 5,200, I'll pass. Cook in play. Price is up. Burton in a decent matchup. 4,500 in play. Rudolph, possibly. I like Njoku's price at 3,800. I think he's viable. And Cameron Brate. If O.J. Howard misses this game, I think Cameron Brate will garner a lot of ownership. And Austin Hooper, tight ends versus Tampa Bay. Saw a lot of targets last week. I think Brate and Hooper are going to garner a lot of ownership. Vince McDonald should see some ownership. He burned a lot of people last week. Only had like 1 to 2 DraftKings points. Wasn't good. Could be a bounce back spot for him. But I think the ownership will go to Brate and Hooper. And that's pretty much it for me. You got Swain. Nothing sexy down here. Charles Clay, 2,700. Viable. And that's pretty much it. Looking at defense. You got Vikings defense. Jaguars defense. Texans defense. And Bears. I think the top 4 are definitely viable. And the Rams. So the top 5 are all in play here. If I'm paying down, look at the Ravens. You could take a stab on the Colts. Don't like that all that much. I'm off the Bills this week. I ran them in a few last week. I don't like that. That's pretty much it. I think I'm just going to stick with I like the Jags, Texans, Bears, and the Rams. Don't mind the Vikings all that much either. So top 5 defenses are who I'm looking at. And if I want to pay down a little bit, it'll be the Ravens. Good luck. NFL Week 6. Hit me up. DFSWolfpack.com. I go by I Would Hate Me Too on DraftKings, FanDuel. Hit me up on Instagram at DFS Wolfpack. And join the league on DraftKings. Good luck. 1.